The Caribbean Sea, more than just a home to islands in the sun, but home to one of the world's most biologically diverse marine regions, iconic wildlife, and vulnerable coastal communities. About 9% of the world's coral reefs cover about 50,000 square kilometers, most of which are located off Caribbean islands and Central American coasts. Small island states like St. Lucia are surrounded by the Atlantic and Caribbean Sea and continue to shape every facet of human development, placing a heavy reliance on marine resources to sustain economic development. Over the years, governments have made moves to protect and conserve the coast by creating legislative designations of marine management areas for the purpose of protecting the natural resources they contain. They include fishing priority areas, recreational areas, multiple use areas, and yacht mooring sites. Dr. Camille David is the GIZ-CATS marine expert, and he tells us more about the collaboration between CATS, the SMMA, and other agencies.
We work with a number of different groups in the watershed, and together, since 2013, we have developed a partnership, a relationship, where we provide the technical expertise through procurements, through training, to allow these groups to exploit sustainably the resources within that watershed.
The Department of Fisheries, through the powers under the Fisheries Act, has designated authority to the Soufriere Marine Management Association, Inc., and they have the authority under the Fisheries Act to manage the Soufriere Marine Management Area and the Canaries and Surrey Marine Management Area.
Amidst the crystal waters, a string of sugar sand beaches and brightly colored coral reefs, organizations like the Caribbean Aqua-Terrestrial Solutions and the Soufriere Marine Management Association share the mandate of strengthening the natural infrastructure and ecosystems that sustain communities and protect against climate-related threats.
Particularly through GIZ under the CATS program. And it has provided a lot of support to the organization in building its capacity to manage the area, and as well as improving the benefits of the area to fisher folk and other users.
The CATS program have assisted the fishers of Soufriere. We just received 20 GPS and training in GPS and VHF. So the fishers right now could go to the FADs on a nice day. If there's inclement weather, they don't have the problem of getting back.
With CATS, they have helped us tremendously, because as a diver in protecting the marine resources, you definitely need dive equipment and you need marine installation equipment. Because when with the marine installation equipment, you got marine boys floating, they're afloat, yachts won't be dropping anchor on reef, you put them in a designated spot on a buoy.
And also fishers, they practice conservation. The people engaged in tourism, dive tourism, they keep clear of the reef, so we could have very healthy coral beds. And if you have a very healthy ecosystem, the potential for increasing the biological diversity, the fish, and all the other life forms in the ocean could be tremendously improved.
We follow a typical day at work of a marine ranger who is responsible for monitoring ecosystems health, mooring infrastructure, and assist and support in research. BERNIL has been employed with the SMMA for almost 6 years and enjoys going out to sea several times a day to monitor the several key aspects of the marine management area.
The role of the SMMA is to protect the marine life, and also we do so for law enforcement using the fisheries law.
Environmental threats such as land-based sources of pollution, including sedimentation, sewage, and agrochemicals, sewage from marine vessels, invasive species, natural hazards, and climate change, continue to wreak havoc on St. Lucia's coral reefs, nurseries, and natural beauty of the coastline. That is why the implementation of several marine reserves serve to protect and conserve the delicate flora and fauna of the coastline.
In whatever we're doing, we try to ensure that we have strong partnerships with interest groups and resource users, as well as having science-based information to guide the process on fisheries management. As part of that, mapping of our seafloor, mapping of our critical fisheries habitats is done.
Many local authorities who provide the day-to-day custodial responsibilities lack the basic tools and expertise to adequately manage these complex ecosystems. Human stresses and climate change continue to diminish the carrying capacity of coastal oceans, with implications for loss of livelihood to fishers, tour operators, and many other businesses that depend on the ocean. The Caribbean Sea is most at risk, given the concentration of development along the several seaward coasts of many islands. The Caribbean Aqua-Terrestrial Solutions Program recognized the need to work collaboratively with the SMMA, Department of Fisheries, and local communities to manage this complex and intertwined system sustainably.
We are trying to find innovation, we are trying to find sustainable solutions whereby the different organizations can coexist, but in a manner which will not deteriorate the ecological settings or environments within both the marine and the terrestrial components of the watershed.
The procurement and training in the use of MX Scout ROV will enhance the role that the SMMA plays in conservation of the resources within the marine management area.
We could just select a site and have the ROV go down to a depth of about 40 feet and give us a quick survey of the area and see how many lionfish are there, and then we could decide whether or not we could go down or choose another site.
The MX Scout will make the difference between new ways of conducting underwater inspections, scientific research, and new ventures around the underwater and maritime industry.
The drone will be used for monitoring, having the camera, and then you could monitor while sitting on the boat with your computer a wide cross-section of the ocean.
With this drone, it has made our work a lot easier for us. We do mooring installation, we do mooring maintenance, we do reef checks, and we also handle invasive species, which is the lionfish.
The CATS program is focused in 3 focal countries: Dominica, St. Lucia, and Grenada. The relationship between the SMMA and CATS will continue to foster stronger ties between sustainable marine management and education.
I want to say a big thank you to GIZ and the CATS program for empowering us with the necessary tools and equipment that we need to fulfill our mandate in doing our job, which is marine conservation.
The ocean will continue to be the force of power that propels and sustains daily life. The quality of that power will depend on the daily actions of humanity and the shared responsibility we all have at innovatively sustaining our greatest natural resource, the ocean.
So we're protecting the marine ecosystem, which is everybody's business. It's not just at the SMMA, it's not just Soufriere or the West Coast. It's St. Lucia's business. So we all should be partaking in protecting and doing what we can to help protect this precious jewel of the sea.
So for this year in particular, we want to exploit the knowledge, the indigenous knowledge from these local communities, and see how we can apply that in making the ocean and bringing that kind of knowledge to the forefront so that people take their own responsibilities. I mean, even individually, collectively, but we want to build an awareness.
Annually, the world comes together to celebrate World Oceans Day, to remind everyone of the major role the oceans have in everyday life. They are the lungs of our planet, providing most of the oxygen we breathe.
The Department of Fisheries work spans beyond only World Oceans Day, but World Oceans Day is a day for us to reflect, a day for us to recognize the importance of fisheries in our everyday life, and the importance of the ocean in our everyday life, and what type of actions can we do to help improve the health of our oceans, the health of our fisheries, moving forward as a nation.
Innovations for Sustainable Ocean, the theme for World Oceans Day 2020. I think the take-home message for me is for people to be very mindful that these kinds of resources are our responsibilities, our collective responsibilities. And therefore, we have to be mindful that both land-based activities and marine related activities, if they are not done in a way to promote the health of these ecosystems, ultimately we can destroy, or we can degrade, or we can diminish the carrying capacities of these ecosystems, and therefore our own livelihood becomes imperiled. My message is to get everyone involved, the schools, the youth groups, the marine managed area authorities, households, to be sensitive and mindful that we are connected to the ocean in many, many different ways.
The ocean, the ultimate source, a cradle of life, provider of food, livelihoods, recreation for mankind to enjoy and thrive.
We're